And welcome to another edition of the Long Game Podcast. Today's guest, wow, Olympic gold medalist, Hall of Famer, world champion, Kristi Yamaguchi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Great to be here.
Really is an honor.
Thank you.
A frequent visitor to the islands. Hawaii is very close to you and your family. The organization Always Dream really just does tremendous work throughout the community. So how does it feel to be back in Hawaii?
Oh, always feels great to be back. It is kind of like second home coming back here and just seeing people, seeing friends, and, obviously with the work of Always Dream too, all the amazing people we've met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what Always Dream has been able to accomplish in the name of childhood literacy and helping more and more kids across the state here in Hawaii, in California, across the country, really impactful stuff. We're going to be getting into all of that. You're back here with your work with Always Dream, but I want to start with this. We are coming off of another thrilling Winter Olympics.
Yes.
2 weeks in Milan Cortina. A great showing for Team USA. What is your process whenever the Winter Olympics come around again?
Always excitement. I mean, obviously, always looking at the U.S. team from figure skating standpoint, since that's my area. And this year's team was just incredible. Such amazing potential. And they certainly delivered. They had won the gold in the team competition as a collective group. But then also individually, we had two other medals, Madison Chalk, Evan Bates. Madison actually has local ties here in Hawaii. And then obviously Alyssa Liu from the Bay Area. She came away with an amazing, stunning performances to win gold. So really, really proud of her.
With decorated athletes and their relationship with the sport, I feel like once they're done competing, the relationship can evolve in one or two ways, right? It's either they stay really close or detach themselves completely. Why was it important for you to stay so close to the sport and the figure skating community?
Well, it's been my life, right? I mean, I started skating at 6 years old. It was for fun. It was a great outlet. It taught me so many amazing things as a kid coming up. But, I realized that, I like competing. I want to get better and just learn so much. And, skating that long, 14 years, and then into the Olympic Games. And then I was fortunate enough to have a 10-plus year professional career on the ice after the Olympics. So it's been a passion of mine for most of my life. And it's given me so much that, of course I will continue to be a fan of it, even though I'm not skating so much myself anymore, but always in awe of the current talent.
So you started skating at 6 years old. When did you know that that was something that you wanted to get into and really start up and pursue?
I mean, it takes a few years. I mean, it was something, at that age, you're trying everything, dance and gymnastics, soccer, whatever. And skating was the thing that stuck with me. And what I wasn't good right away, for sure. Definitely wasn't the most talented, but there was something about it that was really special and that brought something out of me. So, I think my parents saw that and they're like, okay, well, let's just keep this up. But it probably wasn't until about middle school where, it was like, okay, things are getting more serious as far as going to practice every day before school and then sometimes after school, traveling distances. I mean, at that point, it's like LA or on the West Coast somewhere for competitions. So yeah, I think that was, when I was like, okay, we're going to put a little more effort and investment into this because there might be something there.
And this is throughout Northern California?
This is, throughout at that age, Northern California, you're competing locally. And if you're within the top there, then you can represent the West Coast or compete at the West Coast. And if you're able to be in the top 4 out of the West Coast, then you move on to more national level. So by 14, 15, I was competing nationally already.
At that point, what was the kind of figure skating infrastructure like, especially along the West Coast? Like, was there already a reputation of, the top skaters come out of this side of the country?
I mean, it's probably a mix. You know, I think both coasts at the time had really strong skating cultures. Los Angeles always had great skaters coming out of, you know, that area, Bay Area. Even though we were kind of a smaller footprint, we have like a pretty solid culture. And I mean, now with Alyssa Liu, she's our fourth Olympic champion from the Bay Area, which is crazy. But I think the pool of talent is pretty broad and deep, and which allows, you know, for those to kind of rise to the top.
As you were doing it more and more, training as a young girl, were you the one driving your parents, being like, okay, no, this is something I want to go after? Or was it, as you're starting off, that your parents were the ones that were really the kind of guiding force for you?
No, I think it was probably good they didn't know what they were getting into. Because I was the one like, I want to go back. Like, let's keep doing this. And, you know, when it started to get harder, you know, I was up at, 4:15 in the morning on the ice by 5. And my mom and dad had to like get me to the rink. So, you know, I was usually up on my own and getting there, and sometimes having to wake her up to make sure we got to the rink on time. So, you know, I was definitely the driving force behind it. But of course, at that age, sometimes you need redirection or encouragement, discipline, right? Because if they're going to invest that much into what I was doing, it was like, okay, well, here's the groundwork. Here are the rules. And, you know, school was part of that too. It was like, if you got to keep your grades up and, you know, in order to be able to have this much time on the ice and at the rink. So
at what point did you realize that if you wanted to go down a successful path, it's going to require you to really embrace a lifestyle that is completely different from that of your peers?
Yeah.
In the sense that, okay, they have the routine of going to school and, you know, maybe a practice in the afternoon, a game on the weekends, but you were willing to take on something that was far much greater than that.
Yeah, and I think it just evolved, you know, and I think my closest friends were probably my skating friends at the rink because we were all going through the same thing and really only had Saturday night or Saturday to enjoy ourselves because we knew come Monday morning we're back at it, you know, super early. So, you know, it was pretty apparent because obviously I have a brother and sister, and especially in the summer when the nights are longer, I can hear them playing with our friends in the street at 7, and I'm trying to go to sleep because I have to be up at 4. So, you know, there were definitely times where I'm like, okay, this is really hard. But at the same time, I was already very goal oriented and knew what I had to do in order to compete at that level.
What were the age differences between you and your siblings?
So I'm the middle child. Older sister 2 years, by 2 years, and my brother is 3 years under me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it came a certain point like, okay, no, we're going down Kristi's path here.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Like,
the
okay, I'm doing something a little different. So, yeah.
Who were some of the pro or decorated skaters that you looked up to growing up? Some of your role models that you really wanted to take after?
Probably when I first started, when I was super little, it was Dorothy Hamill was just the idol, right? At that point, she was America's sweetheart, and just, you know, I started in the late 70s. She won in 76. So, you know, I didn't really know what the Olympics were at that time, but everyone loved her. So I was like, oh, I love her too. But to this day, she's just like, oh, my idol, and she's just the most gracious person you could ever meet. But then I also got to train in the Bay Area where Brian Boitano is from, and would see him at the rink periodically and see how he trained, and you know, so much excitement whenever he was around. He's such a powerful, commanding skater, and an amazing work ethic. I think a lot of the work ethic I took on is very similar to his, and how he prepared for his training and competitions. So we're very, very alike in a lot of ways. So, yeah, so he was a great mentor, and to this day is like one of my closest friends.
Mm-hmm. What were the conversations like with your coaches and I'm guessing this is, in your teenage years where,
Hmm.
okay, Olympics is a serious possibility here, and to qualify for Team USA, this is what it's going to take.
Hmm. Yeah, so I had my coach, her name's also Kristi Ness.
Mm-hmm.
I had started with her when I was 9 years old, and I was probably one of her first students where she could really mold from such an early stage in the career. A lot of times she was already a national, international level coach. So a lot of skaters came to her when they were a little bit older and trying to go to that next level. But I think I was one of her first to where she could really mold from such a young age, and which was great. And I think learning her technique and just not coming to her with a lot of bad habits, I guess already
Which is important.
is important,
Right.
right? Yeah. But she was very disciplined. It was all about, creating goals, and not just for the year, but, for the month, down to the week, down to each session that we were out on the ice. If we're working on the free program, it's like, okay, we're doing a double run through today, and, we're aiming for a clean run through. If there's a miss, you go and repeat it 3 times. There was always a pattern and a work ethic that she instilled. So, but she, you don't look too far ahead in skating because anything can happen, right? You're looking, at what's in front of you and just trying to make those incremental improvements that's hopefully taking you closer to what may become an Olympic path.
Mm-hmm. To go start an Olympic path, how long does it take? Because when we start covering the athletes and they're already have qualified,
Yeah.
we fail to realize that there is months and years of preparation that leads up into that.
Years and years. I mean, for me, it was 14 years before I made the Olympic team. And ups and downs. You don't see a lot of you see heartache and heartbreak at the Olympics, but the process of just getting there too, right? The moments where you want to quit, the moments where you failed and have like a heartbreaking embarrassment or just, disappointment on a large stage. Or even just in practice when you're struggling to learn something new and you can't get in, and it takes weeks and weeks of falling until you master something. So, every sport's different. There's different trajectory for, that particular sport. But in figure skating, it's 10 plus years of, every 6 days a week, year round too. Mm-hmm. It's a tough sport. It's not something where it's seasonal. It's year round.
Mm-hmm. Did you battle injuries growing up as well?
I was pretty lucky. I had bad ankles. Like I sprained my ankle once really bad, and from then on, it was just managing it my whole career. But other than that, I was very fortunate. And I think that's part of the game. Like it's amazing athletes everywhere, but it's staying healthy. It's being ready when that moment hits, right? So, tried to do everything to be healthy and looking after myself, getting the flu shot. We had one skater who couldn't compete at the Olympics because she came down with the flu. So, just little things like that where it's like, oh my goodness, anything can happen. So it's just really the stars lining up.
From what you're describing, how they say baseball players are extremely superstitious.
Mm.
Are there intricacies like that in figure skating culture where it's just kind of like little quirks that are unique to the sport?
Totally. I think everyone has their own thing, right? I mean, baseball, I know, hockey, they definitely have their rituals too. But yeah, I mean, I had mine for sure. Like my warm-up routine before every practice and before competition was always the same. I always laced up my right skate first before my left skate. So everyone has their little things here and there as they get ready to go out and perform.
When you qualified for the 1992 games, what was the feeling and just the emotions that just overcame you?
Immense pride. I think just making the team and to be able to say you're a U.S. Olympian was the dream. Like at that point, I was like, oh, it doesn't even matter what happens at the Olympics. Like I will always be an Olympian and representing our country, the US of A. You know, it's just a proud, proud moment. And, you know, it kind of was like, okay, all this has been worth it. You know, the years and everything my family went through and, you know, the investment of my coaches and, you know, everyone. Um, and then you just want to go out and do the best you can once you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Provide context too. At that time, the '92 games, where was Team USA's kind of standing in the women's figure skating world? Because I know they had the success with Hamill in the '70s,
Yes.
but at that point,
Mm-hmm.
kind of where was Team USA and kind of in the broader picture of the games?
Yeah, interesting. So let me see. 88, that was the games before. Well, we had a pretty good year there. Brian Boitano won the gold. And then Debbie Thomas was our big hope for women, and she won the bronze, which is huge, another medal. She was a potential, you know, fighting for a gold, but she still got a medal, which is great. But as far as gold, Dorothy Hamill had been the last one, so 16 years prior. But going into that 92 Olympic Games, the U.S. had swept the world podium the year before. So we were going in as like a pretty solid team. Familiar names was me, Nancy, and Tanya on the podium at the World's 1991. So a super strong team. And, you know, and we had potential for men's medals on that team as well. So, in which we ended up getting a silver medal from Paul Wiley in Albertville as well. So we felt pretty good.
Mm-hmm. But with that, how do you describe the pressure entering that type of moment on such a grand stage?
Yeah, pretty intense. You know, in some ways, going into the Olympics as world champion, I had confidence in that I had done it once, like maybe if everything turns out well, I could do it again. But I also knew it was a whole new year, and there was, you know, Olympic stage is just unlike any other. And yeah, it was pretty terrifying at moments, but at the same time, living the dream, right?
Because at the time you were,
I was 20.
20 years old.
Yeah.
What type of, I just feel like with Olympians, from the outside looking in, there's a lot of growing up fast that needs to happen when you're going to that type of environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you feel just from other countries and your competitors as well, how to filter that out and kind of stay in the zone?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing that I think was on my side, my coach had married a Canadian. And like in 89, I moved up to Edmonton, Canada, which is kind of way out there, you know, northern Alberta. And it was an incredible training mecca for figure skating worldwide at the time. Globally, there were, you know, national champions from Denmark, Norway, Australia, Canada, you know, top skaters around the world. But we were a little isolated, which was good for me because I wasn't exposed to a lot of that pre-Olympic pressure of the press and inundated with that. Like, I mean, now they can't escape it because of social media and everything. But, you know, it was nice to be a little isolated. But, you know, once you're at the games, it's just, you know, press everywhere. And you feel it for sure. You know, every single practice, the judges are watching, the press is there. And, you know, if you don't have a good practice, it's just like, oh, you know, so-and-so fell 3 times and I wonder if that's going to happen in competition, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have to be able to filter that out.
Right,
and
yeah.
just not get too bogged down.
Mm-hmm.
Your winning routine, could you replay all of it to a T still to this day?
Yes, so we had 2 programs, the short program and then the free program, the long, well, in those days it was called the long program. So, Yeah, both of them I could pretty much replay. The short program, it's not as sharp, but the free program, there's, specific moments that I definitely remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's more nerve-wracking, the anxiety before a program or having to wait in the kiss and cry area afterwards for when the standings are going to be coming down?
Probably before.
Okay.
Yeah, just the unknown of what's going to happen. Um, you can be as trained and prepared as ever and know that, hey, 9 out of 10 times I'm going to skate this program clean and be able to do it. But it just takes one lapse of memory and, down you're on the ice. And you just never know when that's going to happen. So, yeah. So waiting for that moment to just actually get out there and skate is the worst, for sure.
Did you find that entering those types of routines is there like a blackout feeling? It's because it's kind of like a...
Yeah. It's a little out of body, and
Yeah.
you see a lot of skaters before they skate have their earphones on and they're kind of focusing and probably listening to either their music or their pump up song, whatever. And they're trying not to hear what's going on and how the other skaters are doing, because their routines. On a certain piece of music where their best jumps are. And if the crowd's going crazy, you're just like, oh no, okay, they're skating great. Like, don't think about that. And you're just trying to focus in on like what you have to do.
Did you have a pump up song, or was it just noise canceling? Just, I don't want to hear a thing.
Oh, there was no noise canceling back in the 90s. Just plain old earphones. I don't know. I don't think I actually listened to music, or did I? No, but I did have a pump up song before I headed to the arena.
Okay.
You're probably too young to know it, but it was Bryan Adams, and it was a song called "There Will Never Be Another Tonight," and it was just like the perfect song to just be like, leave it all out there. There's no holding back, basically. Yeah.
It sounds like something perfect to get into the zone.
Yeah, It was good. It was good, and yeah.
That feeling when it hit you. You're a gold medal champion. After years of just dedication and practice, what do you remember of the swell and wave of emotions that hit you from that time?
It was everything, like every emotion. One major one was relief. Believe it or not, it was just like, just a release of just everything. But also just gratitude. I was with my coach the moment we found out, and I'm so glad we were together, because we had been together, since I was 9 years old, going through this. And then just thinking of my parents, and everything that they sacrificed and went through for me to get there. So a lot of just emotion, relief, gratitude, and just pure elation. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is even happening.
Mm-hmm. And an historic moment too. First Asian American woman to win a gold medal in the Winter Olympics. I mean, that is just pure history and just remarkable.
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
It didn't even dawn on me, I think, till maybe years later when someone pointed it out. And it was like, really? Oh, because I at some point had met the first Asian American to win a gold medal, but it was the Summer Games, Sammy Lee, the diver. And he was just such an adorable character, amazing inspiration. But then someone said, well, yeah, you're the first one in the Winter Games. It's like, oh, very cool. All right.
How much pressure after 1992 was there to go after back-to-back golds in the next games? How did that play out?
There was a lot of pressure. Like, people were like, oh, there's only 2 years. It was the year they staggered the Winter and the Summer Games. 92 was the last year.
Because 92 was also the Summer Barcelona
Games, yeah. And then they're like, okay, we're staggering the games. There's only going to be a 2-year gap between the next winter. So Lillehammer happened in 94, 2 years later. And people were like, this is the greatest opportunity. You only have to stay in 2 more years, not 4, blah, blah, blah.
22 years old.
Yeah. And I thought about a lot of different scenarios. I had the opportunity to skate professionally for a year, try that out because they were actually changing the rules where that line between professional skating and amateur skating was kind of going away. In 94, they allowed professionals to reinstate and become eligible skaters at that point. So it turned into eligible and ineligible. So it's like, oh, well, I can skate professionally for a year, see how that is. If I decide to go back and compete, I can reinstate. But you know what? I had the most amazing experience that first year's professional competitions, but then joining a professional tour called Stars on Ice. And it was my dream job. And it was something that when I was 6 years old and first started is where I saw my end game. So at that point, I was like, I don't want to leave this. Like, I'm where I want to be. And looking at the competition, Lu Chen from China, Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya was still in it. The Oksana Bayul coming up. I was like, wow, this is going to be a tough competition. And I've never skated just to win gold. And if I went back in 94, that was the only goal because I would have to be defending my title, right? And I was just like, I'm not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be a fun experience. And the Olympic experience I had in Albertville was just so amazing that I want to just leave it there.
Was there also a feeling of just what left do you have to prove?
In a way, it was like, yeah, it would be awesome, but yeah, I don't need to be greedy here.
So gold was never the motivation for you?
No, it was always a dream and kind of, in some ways, motivation, but it wasn't, you can't, I don't know. I guess you don't want to bank on that because it's like, the odds of it happening are so slim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to be prepared for every scenario and be able to live with whatever outcome comes along. So I was just prepared for every outcome.
Mm-hmm. And you enjoyed skating professionally?
Loved it. Yeah. Yes. 10 of my best years of my life to this day. Other than being a mom, was touring with Stars on Ice. Yeah.
What places around the world did this take you?
Mostly in the U.S. We did like 55 to 60 cities in the U.S. and 10 to 12 in Canada. We did have international tours that happened like after the Olympics, after World Championships in Europe. That were awesome too. But the creativity and the production of Stars on Ice was like next level. So loved it there.
Mm-hmm. And also too, was there a feeling of, it's almost like surfers describe it as like soul surfing, where it's like, you know what? It sounds like training for the Olympics is such a grueling just slog. This is something where you can really enjoy and immerse yourself in.
Yeah, and skating's unique in that it's a performance sport, right? So as a competitor, there's a lot, obviously, which needs to be focused on the technical side of skating and executing the jumps and everything technically as well as aesthetically pleasing. But as a professional, there's just so much more creative freedom. We had a lot of pride in technically still bringing a really high-level show, but experimenting with, types of music and more theatrical themes, more contemporary themes, which you couldn't get away with, right, in competition, but it's more entertaining for the audience. So there's like a crossover of growth that, I came on to Stars on Ice as a rookie. Scott Hamilton, Roslyn Sumners, Brian Orser, these veteran show skate, like I felt like a rookie that had so much to learn from them as a performer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the show.
Yeah.
It's entertaining for so many. Right. We're in the middle of our conversation with Olympic champion Kristi Yamaguchi. We're going to be taking a quick break on the Long Game Podcast.
from the moment you wake up.
Hawaii News Now brings you the stories that impact your day.
With more on the breaking news, we go live to Casey Lund.
Ready with the push alert? I'm going live. We have an update to the breaking news we brought you this morning on Sunrise.
Okay, guys, as soon as this wraps, toss to Mahia.
And we've been covering this story all day.
Now we go live to Mahia for a new development.
Stand by for breaking news. They just captured the suspect.
That's confirmed?
Yes, sources just confirmed it.
The news you need the moment it breaks.
Here on Hawaii News Now.
First alert traffic is like always having a helpful passenger right next to you.
There's a crash up ahead in the left lane.
When we see a backup, we'll tell you live on TV.
That doesn't look too good.
And send an alert to your phone.
I'll type, you drive.
First alert traffic on TV, streaming, and on the Hawaii News Now app.
Keeping you and your ohana safe.
And we're back with the all-time great Kristi Yamaguchi. So you're talking about skating professionally. At what point did you decide that you wanted to walk away from just competition and being on the professional circuit entirely, and how difficult was that decision?
It wasn't too difficult because I had done it for 10 years. And at that point, I was married and ready to start a family. So I feel like I was very lucky in the fact that, you know, every phase of my life just kind of led into the next. And, you know, shortly after I stopped touring in 2002, you know, our first daughter, Kira, was born in 2003. So there was not really ever a break to sit down and be like, oh, I'm bored, or like, what do I do next? It's like, it presented itself right away. You know, and I went pretty hard for 10 years after the Olympics. So in some ways was ready for a change and to kind of step away and watch what the next generation could bring.
About the next generation, what do you make of how the sport has evolved and just seeing what Team USA was able to accomplish in these past games?
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's just, you know, every generation is going to evolve and improve and take the sport to the next level. But I feel like, yes, you really saw it at the Olympics this year. Seeing the women's event from top to bottom. I mean, the top 15 skaters were all at a level like this. And then obviously, you know, the top 3 were like, meh. But you know, in other categories like the pairs and the men, it's kind of like you have and then, you know, and then it goes up like this with the top men. But the depth and the quality of skating in the women's event was just, it was so good. And, you know, you saw anyone who was maybe 10th, 12th, who could have been obviously, you know, up in the top back in 92. You know, it's a generational thing, right? It's hard to compare, but they were great. And the men are, you know, they're next level with all of the quads that they're incorporating in their level of competition now. And, you know, our high hopes were on Ilya Malinin, who unfortunately had a really heart-wrenching Olympic experience. But, you know, he'll be back, and he's taken men's figure skating to, he's really in a category of his own. I mean, he's nicknamed the Quad God. He's doing things most of us never thought we would see in our lifetime with the quad axle and all of the quads he incorporates in his performances. So yeah, amazing.
Watching a performance like that, though, must be devastating for you to see, to like know what it takes, and to get onto that stage and to have something like that happen. This must be so crushing to watch.
Very crushing. 'Cause you know, you feel, we've all had performances like that where just nothing, you just are out of body. You're like, what is happening? I don't even do this in practice on my worst day. And your heart is just like in our stomach. So he's a great kid, and he's 21. You know, I saw him after, like, the next day and just gave him a hug and said, look, we all love you so much, and we know how great you are. You know, he knows how great he is. I'm like, you're going to be stronger. You're going to come back for this, but just know the support that's behind you, because that's all you need to know in a situation like that. Like, he could have crawled into a hole and just not experienced any more of the Olympics because it was such a bitter thing. But he didn't. Like, he was out and about and, you know, able to talk about what he went through and still supporting his teammates as they were competing. Just was an amazing ambassador for, you know, for sport, for sure.
Not saying that this is what he went through, but I mean, we've heard athletes in the past. I mean, Simone Biles go through this kind of period where it's like, I don't know what is going on right now.
Right.
Did you ever have a moment in your training, at any point where it was like, you, in a way, you couldn't get out of your own head?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, there's definite moments where your confidence gets shaken, for sure, and sometimes it takes a lot of deep soul searching on how to find your groove again. And I went through, I mean, Ilya's came like this in the wrong moment. Like, I think it was literally an instant, almost not panic mode, but like physically he knows he can do it. But at that moment, something just triggered that, hey, I'm not in the moment where I need to be. So it's finding ways to channel your mental focus. And I think he's been so top of his game for the last 3 years that maybe the mental prep wasn't, you know, he's never faced that kind of pressure before because he was so good, he didn't have it.
Right.
So all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe I need to deal with it. But yeah, there were times when I thought, I don't think I can do this. I'm not cut out for this. Mm-hmm. But I had to dig deep and find a way to channel the energy in a certain way where it put me back on track.
You mentioned that you had your daughter in 2002. Mm-hmm. Are your kids figure skaters?
They're not. Well, our younger daughter, Emma, skated for about 9 years. Not competitively. Like, we had a lot of fun. We actually skated together here in a Golden Moment show twice here in Hawaii, mother and daughter little shtick. But so she had fun, but you know, she found other passions, which was good.
Mm-hmm. So you and your husband, there was no pressure then to get into skating or competition or anything like that?
No, I think we both wanted them to learn how to skate and at least, you know, be proficient, skate forward and backwards. I mean, hello. It's part of the family. And then, you know, once they learned that, the older one's like, I'm done. I know how to skate. I want nothing to do with the ice. And we're like, okay, good. Like, go find your own path. And the younger one decided to try it for a little while and then move on. Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars. When that came along, I mean, that's automatic. They should have just gave you the title at the beginning of the season.
No.
They
made me work for it.
How did that come together and how did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was so much fun. Yeah, I mean, they came out with the invitation and I was skeptical because I loved the show. I was a fan of it. But my friends and I would sit and we had Dancing with Star pool going on like who was going to win. We would be critiquing every week. And I was like, I cannot put myself out there. Like, I have a 2 and 4-year-old. I've been away from any kind of public, you know, thing for like 5 years. I've been raising kids. I don't want to be out there and being judged again and whatever. But
did you have dancing experience? I mean,
not
seeing
like
you move
that.
on the ice, right? Okay,
yeah.
So
I mean, you know, I know there was a lot of comparison, but it was like, you know what, skating is one thing. Like, from the waist up, I was like, I could fake it. You know, like, I could perform, but like waist down, the feet movement, the rhythms, everything, the technique was so different that there was a huge learning curve. And they expected me to improve every week. You know, it's not necessarily how good you are. It's how you improve and take their criticism or their direction every week and incorporate it. So there was always a challenge for sure that they set out for me.
What was the training like?
It was pretty intense. I mean, I was season 6, like they're like season 30 something now. So they have parameters now because people were getting injured and like it was maybe too intense for people. So back in season 6, like we trained from like 10 to 6 every day. Like, and we would have long lunch break or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty intense. And then beyond that, you have interviews, you have costume fittings, you have public appearances because it's all about the voting, right? So if Christian De La Fuente, who was my biggest competitor, was out at all these events and mingling and getting PR, it was like, oh, you better go to that event. So you're also seen and out there, and it's exhausting.
I was about to say, this sounds exhausting, having to campaign for yourself.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of, work in that for sure.
Now, I forgot to ask this. Where do you keep your gold medal?
So the gold medal is actually at the U.S. Figure Skating Museum and Hall of Fame, which is headquartered in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
So my black and gold costume is there with the medal. I think a pair of skates as well. But, they have everything like Brian Boitano, Scott Hamilton, Tara Lipinski. There's all kinds of amazing memorabilia in the museum. So anyone can go see it.
Was it hard to kind of part with, I'm not going to keep this in my house. I'm going to be giving this to a museum?
Really?
Okay.
I mean, it's on loan. So if they don't own, I can take it back at any time. But, I'd rather it be there for people to see. If I had it at home, it'd be like locked up, hidden, whatever. And honestly, I feel it's safer there. Yeah. Albertville, France. So each country gets to create their own design of the medals. So that year, Lalique Crystal helped design the medal. So the interior is Lalique Crystal, which is beautiful and rimmed in gold. And a lot of athletes had their medals break because it's crystal. Yeah. So when people are like, oh, can you bring your gold medal? I have a good excuse. It's like, oh, I can't bring it because it's in the museum because it's so fragile. Like I probably wouldn't bring it anywhere anyway.
Yeah. I hear you. I have 3 young kids and nothing. Yeah. If I was an Olympic medalist, they would not be safe to be under the couch.
Maybe get a replica made or just something so I can bring it along because it is fun when I see people having their gold medals.
Your work with Always Dream, how did this all come together and what was the genesis? Because this is really an important cause for you.
It is. It was really something that beyond the Olympics, wanting to leave a legacy that was other than skating. And, I think it really, it came about when after the Olympics, my mom asked me a simple question like, oh, what are you going to do to give back? Like, you are so lucky. You got to pursue this dream. You had the support, the opportunity. Like, you need to find a way to give back. And, at 20, it's kind of like, wait, what? What do you mean? Like, I don't even have a job yet. Like, how do I do this? But, they were always active in the community, volunteering or, giving time. And I knew that doing something with children and particularly underserved communities was where I wanted to do and to help facilitate, support, inspire their dreams because that's what I had. And so hence Always Dream is the name of the organization. It started, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, which is crazy. But it was all about embracing the hopes and dreams of young kids. And, we did many different iterations. It's evolved a lot through the years, but it really became a passion of mine. And, to this day, we're bigger than ever and making a bigger impact than I really ever thought we could.
Mm-hmm. How gratifying was it, in the early days of Always Dream, the gratitude that comes with seeing how much of an impact and how much of a difference it was making to really, get these kids involved with reading and to see the kind of doors that it could open?
So gratifying. The direction towards early literacy, that's our focus. Early literacy, we partner with schools in communities for 3 to 6 year olds, so pre-K, TK, kindergarten classrooms, and work with the families on setting up literacy-rich environments at home. So making sure families are connecting with their child, being their all-important first teacher at home, and creating that foundation for learning. And, I saw that being a parent and having, written my first children's picture book when my kids were 4 and 6 years old, and how reading to them every night had such a positive impact on them as they started school. And as, they loved reading, they loved writing. And I know it was because of that reading routine. And not a lot of families have that set in place because 60% of low-income families have 0 age-appropriate books in the home. I wanted it to change that. I wanted to make sure every family had the opportunity to have a bedtime story with their child. And so that's what we do. We provide the literacy resources, books, and pair it with family engagement support. So we make sure the families have support and the strategies that we provide to them on how to sit down, engage with their child, connect with them, so that, there is that foundation of learning.
Because there's so many benefits to outside of just learning how to read. It's the genuine connection that you have, just that, that time that's so enriching to have with your family on a nightly basis. It's huge long term.
It's huge. Yeah, it definitely, social emotional connections. I mean, that's, enveloping the child as a whole person, right? It's not just like, education. It's really the whole social emotional thing as well. So, we love our work and we see so many amazing stories that come out of it. I mean, anecdotally, obviously we see the impact at the school level, but, when we hear stories like, local family hears like, hey, we're having housing insecurity. We don't know where we're going to be, one night from the next. But my daughter said, Mommy, at least I know I have my always reading books with me and you can read to me every night. And, that just hits us in a way that's we didn't expect. It's not what it's made for, but there's a sense of comfort and security in it that we could provide. So, so many different things. There's like, my child hated reading or wasn't interested, but, through always reading, discovered books about the moon and planets, and now he wants to be an astronaut. So it's like sparking that imagination of, what can I be?
How many schools is Always Dream working with?
So here in Hawaii, we're currently in 21 schools, and we're in 4 states. So about 2,800 individuals in our program that we're impacting, and every year we're growing. So we're hoping to probably get close to 5,000 individuals annually here in Hawaii.
Wow! And this year you were celebrating. You have your 30th anniversary gala in April.
In April coming up, April 25th, and it's our biggest fundraiser of the year to help support the programs. We partner with schools throughout, the 4 islands that I mentioned, and to sustain our work here and to grow it. So, we're really excited.
How have you found screen time has adjusted your mission? Because, as a parent of young kids myself, screen time is something that you're always kind of up against. It's like, okay, no, we need to get to reading.
Right.
We need to get to books, all of that. How has that changed your work?
Yeah, so actually our program is on a screen. It's on a tablet. Okay. It's a digital platform of books, but the tablet's locked down, so it's only books they can access on the tablet. So it's like a reader. But the good thing about digital books is that in that one tablet, they have access to 40,000 titles. So any subject matter that they might be interested in is accessible to them. And then we can also track their progress, like how much they're reading, how many minutes they've read, what titles they're reading. And if they're not reading, we can nudge them in a positive way, like, hey, any way we can help, get you reading again, or are you having an issue with your tablet? But, we like to emphasize that this is structured screen time.
Yep.
It's not passive where they're just searching the internet, not doing anything, educational. And this is, we want the family members to be engaging with them while they're on the screen. So there's a big difference between the structured screen time and passive.
Yeah, and that's a nice compromise on innovation too, where it's like you need to build a platform that kids are going to gravitate to, but it has traditional learning principles in there.
Right, exactly.
Nice. Is there any way for the message you want to get out, how the community or interested schools can get involved with Always Dream?
Yeah, so our website is alwaysdream.org. So that has all the happenings and all about our program and what we do more in detail, the schools we're currently working in. So yeah, if you follow us, and we're also on Instagram, Facebook, all of that, to keep in touch of what we're doing.
Very impactful work. I ask this to all my guests, Kristi. For anyone that is an aspiring athlete or an aspiring professional, doesn't need to be in sports specifically, what is the most valuable piece of advice, the lasting piece of advice that you go to all the time that you'd like to share?
I think something I learned just in the last couple of weeks, particularly from Alyssa Liu, and seeing how she approached probably the most high-pressure situation that she had faced in her life, is that mindset is everything. It's so powerful. And she was under incredible pressure. She had overcome many obstacles and, had some rough moments in there where she actually stepped away from skating for 2 years and discovered that, hey, there's something left in me that I still want to pursue. So she had a belief in herself of going out there and taking ownership and really doing it her way and having the confidence to do it her way. So, and then when she went out there in that immense pressure, her determination to have fun in the moment. Believe me, I didn't have fun like that at the Olympics like she did, but I think she just showed us that when you have a certain mindset and belief and positivity, it's so powerful. So try to keep that in mind.
That's great. I mean, this is advice from someone that, had just one goal and is someone that's coming up, and it's like, something that you're taking from the next generation.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there anything that, you've learned now that you wish that you could have applied to your Olympic experience?
I mean, it is so delicate, and it came out just fine. So I wouldn't want to change much because I wouldn't want to affect the outcome at all. But, I think there were moments before the Olympics and a few years before, as you're leading up to that path, not knowing what was going to happen. It's like, try to, have more joy, or find that joy in why you started on this path to begin with. Like, why are you there?
From the outside looking in, seeing what younger athletes deal with nowadays, the social media thing is its own beast. It is. I mean, because you're talking about athletes in the 70s and 80s. That wasn't a thing back then.
No.
And now it's just nonstop.
Yeah, if you didn't want to hear something about yourself, you just didn't look at the paper or you didn't turn on the news. But yeah, I mean, one of the other things I say is like, I know you have to do social media, but you don't have to read comments. Yeah. Post what you need to post, say what you need to say. Don't believe everything that is out there said about you because, it's just not necessarily real.
And constructive.
Constructive, yeah.
Well, Kristi Yamaguchi, this was a real pleasure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and chat.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Good stuff. Some Olympic gold medal advice right there. That's another edition of the Long Game Podcast. You can catch past episodes on the H&N streaming app or wherever you get your pods. Aloha.